Hello everyone, it is your boy Winster and I am back at it again with another video. Today we are doing a deck profile with 3 structure decks only on the newly released Fire King structure deck. This deck just came out this past weekend. It took a little bit of time to put this together, but I definitely wanted to showcase what you could do with the deck. But before we jump into the video, guys, be sure to hit that subscribe button, turn on the notification bell. That way you could stay up to date with all the content that does drop on this channel. Also, be sure to check out the description box. There is a plethora of other platforms that I have: TikTok, Twitch, Discord with a very active community, and Twitter. Be sure to peep that out. Let's go ahead and jump into today's deck profile. Jumping right into the deck profile, I do want to state this is a 40 card build. I'm really enjoying this deck in playtesting, but as I was building, I was definitely trying to consider every single tech option, and I wanted to have every option available to me. So just a little bit of information before we jump right into it. And I'll definitely explain once we get to those tech options on why I decided to play them. That way you guys could get a better clarification on why I decided to play some cards. Starting us off, we are going to be playing 3 legendary Fire King Ponix, probably the cutest Yu-Gi-Oh card that you've ever seen. But realistically, this is your 1 card starter. It's a level 1, so it's going to be working with some other engines that are not included in this deck. Hopefully I get to build and give you guys that version of this deck. But obviously, this is going to search us any spell or trap for the Fire Kings. And then we play 3 copies of the Sacred Fire King Garunix. This card is insane. Has a pretty unique effect. Pops a card in the hand or field or deck, which that last effect you don't really get too often. It allows you to go into the new boss monster from the extra deck, gains attack. It does so much for the deck. In other versions, in the better version, you would only play 2 copies of that, in my opinion, but here we want to maximize it. And then we play 3 Fire King High Avatar Kirin. Personally, I think this is the second best deck in the whole structure deck. It's a quick effect. It can be used on your opponent's turn. Special summons card from the graveyard. This card does a lot for the deck. Also facilitates being able to go into the new boss monster on your opponent's turn. Such a good card. And then I played 2 copies of Fire King Avatar Artvada, and then 2 copies of Fire King Avatar Rangbali. I apologize if I butchered these names, but realistically, you could play 3 copies. I personally didn't want to because I hate seeing multiple copies of this card in my hand. They are a little bit tougher to special summon than the other monsters, but effectively Monster Negate and Spell and Trap Negate. And the better version with the Diabell Star engine, you definitely would only play 1 copy of each, in my personal opinion. And then I play 1 Fire King Avatar Balrang. This is just an extra body, honestly. This card is still pretty useful because it does have a search effect and for the next standby phase, but I wouldn't recommend playing more than 3 copies of this. And then you play 1 Fire King High Avatar Garunix. You only play the 1. Honestly, you don't even have to play this. You could play other cards, but I just want to have other options to board wipe my opponent or board wipe the whole field. And I'm kind of shocked on why people are not playing this card. I'm seeing a lot of builds not even running it or not even talking about it. But this card, True Fire King Agni Muzzah the Vanisher. This card is insane. Activates in hand. Could pop cards on the field or your hand to special summon it, and then if both of those monsters were fire, you could banish a card on the field or your opponent's graveyard, which is insane. It triggers your effects and is removal. Like, come on, that's crazy. And it's a 29 beat stick. I don't know why people aren't playing that. I wouldn't play more than 1. And then I play 1 Phoenix. I just want to have back row destruction. And then last of the monster main deck, we play 1 Dogoran. I wanted to have out to Pearly. That's why I'm at least playing 1 Kaiju. Onto the spells, I play 3 copies of Fire King Sanctuary. This card is ridiculous. It allows you to exceed summon on your opponent's turn when they special summon. Sets the broken Fire King Island directly from your deck so it can't be ashed. This gives protection to Fire King Island because you don't want that card to be removed in any kind of way, because then it blows up your own board. Speaking of which, we play 3 Fire King Island. This card is absolutely insane. It's the Searcher. It's or special summons from the hand, triggers your effects because it pops stuff. This card does so much for the deck. I am so glad that the Fire King Sanctuary gives this card protection, because if it didn't, obviously it would blow up our field, but this card is so good in this deck. In other builds, I could definitely see it being played at 2, but definitely playing at 3. And then for the rest of the Fire King spells, I play 1 Fire King Skyburn, I play 1 Onslaught of the Fire Kings, 1 Circle of the Fire Kings, and then 1 Echelon of the Fire Kings. The reason that I'm playing this is because once you search out Sanctuary, Ponix doesn't really have another target. So I wanted to have more cards that Ponix could search out other than those. Yes, these are not the best cards. Some of these can be bricks and only really work when your opponents already started building something, which you want to prevent them from playing overall. But I'd rather have some tech cards than none, and I wanted to round out the 40 with some of the better cards, in my opinion. And then I am playing 3 copies of Fire Formation Tenki. This card is amazing, gets you whatever card that you need, whether it be a monster negate, spell and trap negate, or just an extra body. That's why I'm not playing 3 copies of these 2 cards, because this becomes this, and I'd rather have more consistency than bricks, you know, so that's why I am playing those. As for the non-engine, I am playing 3 copies of Torrential Tribute. Just a super powerful card, board wipes the field, and can trigger some of your effects. Definitely good. We're obviously playing 3 copies of Drolin Lockbird, and then the last 3 cards of non-engine being 3 copies of Infinite Impermanence. It's crazy to think that this finally got printed in a common, and man, boy, it took too damn long for this card to be printed as a common. I remember like the ultra rare was like $10 for the longest time. Okay, jumping into the extra deck, guys. So if you bought 3 structure decks, you're gonna get 12 extra deck monsters. You could play all of them in your extra deck, which is crazy. But we're only playing 2 copies, so if you have other cards you could throw in here, you can. But if you want to do structure deck only, realistically you only need 2 copies of each extra deck monster. But we are playing 2 of the new Garunix Eternity Hang of the Fire Kings. This card is insane. If it is Exceed Summon, you pop all monsters on the field that could start triggering off your field, or you could just board wipe your opponent. Card is phenomenal. What allows you to Exceed Summon on your opponent's turn is Fire King Sanctuary. We got a good reprint, which Coach King Giant Trainer. We got Diamond Direwolf. And then last but not least, we are playing 2 copies of Hita the Fire Charmer. And that is going to round out the extra deck. There's not really much here. There's just those 4 extra deck monsters. But guys, that is going to be it for the deck profile. Let me know what you guys think of this build. I do think that it's a pretty strong build, even with only playing with the structure deck. There is a lot of non-engine like Torrential Tribute, Imperm, and Drolin Lockbird, which were really phenomenal reprints, and shout out to Konami for doing that. But let me know what your guys' thoughts and opinions. Just a little bit of a heads up, you guys are going to be seeing an updated version of this deck very soon. I'm just waiting for the wanted Sinfer spoils to fall down in price. I went in there last Wednesday, guys, and the card was going for like $70 or something like that. And then just over that same weekend, which was this past weekend, they skyrocketed to like 160. And I'm like, you got me fucked up. You think I'm going to pay that much? That's insane. I do believe that it has a lot to do with the recent YCS at Bologna. And a lot of people are anticipating this deck to be really good, just like in the OCG. Maybe, and that's why they're picking up the cards early. But I'm telling you guys, look, I have almost everything in the extra deck. I'm literally just waiting for that card to fall back into normal price so I could buy it, because I'm not paying 100 and something for one card. Hopefully you guys will see that soon. Worst case scenario, I borrow some homie's card. But that is going to be it for today's deck profile, guys. Let me know in the comment section below what you guys think. My name is Winster. Peace out.